everyone, it's Blake. Welcome into episode number 62 of our WWE 2021 Save and TEW 2020. This is Raw for November Week 3. I know it's been a little while since our last episode, but I just, work again has sort of gotten the best of me. And as I mentioned before, I do some work in wrestling and media stuff, and it's just been a very wild month or so. Of course, if you follow wrestling, you understand that with all the big stories and happenings that have been going on. But it's just been kind of a crazy month or so, and so I apologize for not having any videos up the past several weeks. The good thing about this series is it's kind of an evergreen one, so people can find it at any time and start going through it, and we've got 60-plus episodes now, so I've seen a lot of new people start commenting on the series, so that's always cool to see people jumping in way after the fact. But just also for reference, this is my second time recording this video. The first one was about 30 minutes long, and so I don't think this one's going to be that long for time constraints reasons. And so just as a note, I'm going to try to get my point across a little quicker in this one because I don't think this one's going to be as long. I had to, of course, I make this return, and I'm really excited to get this video out, and I pushed stop on the recorder, and for some reason the video did not save the first time I did it, so I'm having to redo this, and that is where, of course, everyone knows if you play this game, always have a backup save, which I do for pretty much every show now. I just make sure I have a backup going into every show. That way, if there's a recording error or something like that, I can go right back in and pull it up where things were. So luckily, I did that here and didn't forget to do that because otherwise, I would have been reading off the results to you based on the show. But I'm going to quickly run through this. As I said, this will probably be one of my shorter videos, but I'm going to try to get my point across without being too wordy, since I probably won't be able to do a 30-minute one here based on my schedule as well. So pre-show, John Morrison gets the win over Drew Gulak, 63 overall. Not a lot to say about that. Just Morrison getting a win. So start to the main show, 86, great way to start it here. Bullet Club arrive in the parking lot, and Steve Austin meets them, and they say they have no plans to wrestle until Survivor Series, and Austin says, welp, I'm going to change that because you are going to wrestle before Survivor Series, and it's going to be our main event next week is AJ Styles versus Montez Ford. Remember, all the stuff's been going on. Ford was kind of their first victim, I guess you could say, in terms of them kind of taking him to the disclosed location and beating him up and all that. But Ford made his triumphant return last week, as we know, and that's when Austin announced the big 10-man tag for Survivor Series with the Bullet Club and Rated RKO against Daniel Bryan, the Street Profits, and Cesaro and Sheamus. Main event next week, Styles versus Ford. So a big match heading into, for our go-home edition of Raw, heading into Survivor Series. Great segment here, 86 overall. But before anything else can happen, here comes Rated RKO. Edge and Orton make their way in as Styles, Cole, and Balor start to leave because, as they said, they're not wrestling. And now that Austin is giving them, a match for next week, or Styles specifically, Austin, they've decided they're leaving. Well, they meet with Edge and Orton, and they just kind of, again, have that sort of uneasy tension between the groups here. But remember, this is all built around last week. These two were trying to figure out a way to work together, and yet there's still no official deal there. But Edge and Orton, once again, try to play up, hey, we should work together. We're willing to let bygones be bygones. You guys hit us with chairs when you made your, debut or whatever it was, however you want to call it. But we're willing to let that go because we need to work together to take down the common enemies. And that is kind of the goal here. So Bullet Club don't really say anything, just kind of keep walking, and that's when Edge and Orton walk back around and they see Austin, who lets them know that tonight we will have Edge and Orton in action in the main event, and it's going to be a rematch we had not long ago, Edge and Orton against Cesaro and Sheamus. Remember, Cesaro and Sheamus demanded that match last week. Austin said he would eventually give it to him, and they're going to get it tonight here on Raw. So 82 overall, good segment here, and so that's your build for kind of the next couple main events, and continue to tease the tension between these five, even though they will team up at Survivor Series. And then is the Mysterios getting the win over Dirty Dogs, 12-15. Mysterio getting the win over Ziggler, 619, 65 overall. The match is set, Ray versus Penta at Survivor Series. I will say this is going to be kind of a slow burn angle, so I know this one hasn't gotten as much attention. It's just kind of there maybe for some people, but we only have so much time, and this one's kind of a longer angle that has to play out anyway, so just as a reference, so you know. I'm not forgetting about this match or angle or anything involving the Mysterios or the Lucha Brothers. It's just going to take a little while to play out, and so this is kind of more of the starting point of what we have in mind versus the ending point, whereas some of the stuff at Survivor Series will be that way. So Mysterio's get the win over Dirty Dogs here, just kind of a match to keep them in action, and that's what we get here. And then, not great promo here from our Rebels, Tony Storm and Liv Morgan. Usually they do well without a script, but I probably could have scripted them, just forgot, to be honest with you. 55 overall, not a great promo. They react to Alexa Bliss and Raquel Gonzalez saying, they're not going to come to Raw. These two had challenged them, wanted them to come to Raw this week, and Bliss and Gonzalez says, I don't think so. You guys come to SmackDown. So they say, you know what? We don't care. We'll come to SmackDown. So Storm and Morgan headed to SmackDown. We'll see what comes of that. Remember, those four involved in first-round matchups in the Mae Young Classic. And then it's Becky, who also is involved in the Mae Young Classic, will take on Asuka. And on SmackDown, it was Asuka basically telling Becky that she was not ready for Asuka. But Becky says Asuka may be the Empress of Tomorrow. But Becky says she is the man today. And that is going to be the difference in their match. Big first-round match. I'm really looking forward to that one. 78 overall. We're going to have a lot of promos building this because, remember, they're on separate brands, and we're not going to have everyone on the shows. I don't want to jumble it up that way. So like the Rebels even going to SmackDown, that's kind of a special instance here. We don't want everybody kind of interacting. I want to keep them apart. And so promos will kind of build up a lot of these matches until we will announce some other matches that you'll see. There will be some interaction between these opponents. So we'll get to that in a bit. And Becky gets the win over Mandy Rose. Nice rating here, 69. Becky continues to... She's shown... I think it's just a great way to put it. She's shown in this match. Becky, 82 performance. That's good. Gets a win over Mandy Rose. Mandy, if we started the save today, it'd be a little different. We'd probably do some different things with her if it was the Toxic Attraction one. But when we started, she wasn't very over, and we just had a lot of other stuff to push. So that's kind of where things stand with Mandy. Just a win here to get Becky a victory, kind of keep her rolling, moving into Survivor Series and the Mae Young Classic. And then it is MVP who interview with Pat McAfee, MVP and Omos backstage, and gets a 70 here. Good stuff. And it is MVP telling Big E to remember what happened to him last week. And I know some of you may not remember because it's been a while. That was when MVP hit Big E with the ring bell. That allowed Omos to basically destroy Kofi Kingston after he had already destroyed Xavier Woods before that. And so now it is MVP telling he wants Big E to remember that because he wants him to really think about accepting the challenge they're about to issue, which is Omos challenging Big E at Survivor Series. So they lay down the challenge here, and we'll see what we get from Big E on that. And then it is... Daniel Bryan doesn't do well without a script to follow. Come on. 68, so not what I wanted here, but it is Bryan. Remember, we heard the match earlier was announced, Montez Ford versus AJ Styles, our main event next week. Ford says he is going to get his payback on AJ Styles for what the Bullet Club did to him, and he's going to get him, one-on-one in this match. And Bryan then steps in and says, if Adam Cole or Finn Balor think about getting involved, Bryan and Dawkins will be right there to help out Montez Ford. So that's your setup for next week's main event. Should be a big one. And again, you got a little support here from Montez Ford against the Bullet Club. And Bayley's gimmick is getting stale. I don't love to see that. But Sasha, she has a match coming up, 81 overall, good stuff. Sasha says she hasn't forgotten about Bayley, and even though the Mae Young Classic's coming up, she is focused on that Mae Young Classic prize, and so she wants everyone to know she's not forgotten about Bayley and what's happened between them. And Sasha says Bayley needs to be near because whenever she wins the Mae Young Classic, Bayley's going to want to hear the prize that she's going to have for herself. So remember, we're playing up the prize angle. That way we don't really give away who could win this because whoever wins gets to pick their own prize. And Sasha teasing that she has one that may involve Bayley, so we'll see about that. And as I mentioned, Sasha's in action. She gets the win over Carmella, 11:33 here, 61 overall with the bank statement, so that just gives her a win. But really, this is a lot more about the post-match angle, which is Becky coming out. I remember last week, Becky and Sasha teamed up. We were kind of teasing the eventual finals match, perhaps, between these two. They're on the opposite ends of the bracket. So we teased that. So Becky comes out, starts clapping at Sasha, and then Austin's music hits. Austin comes out and announces a huge Survivor Series match because, and look at this, Steve Austin, poor improvising dialogue. Come on, we're getting some bad dialogue ones here on this one. 82 overall. But Austin announces that these two will team up again at Survivor Series in an 8-woman tag team match because it's going to be, he's already had this discussion with Mick Foley, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, our SmackDown Women's Champion. Look at that, that's already a loaded team, right? And then the fourth partner is going to be Sasha Banks' first-round opponent in the Mae Young Classic. So, remember, we had 3 spots that were open, mystery opponents. We're going to find out one of them at Survivor Series because Sasha's first-round opponent is going to actually team with her in this big match, and who will they face? They will face the team of Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Raquel Gonzalez, and Dakota Kai. So a huge 8-woman tag there with all that talent involved. So there's another big match added to Survivor Series. And who will Sasha's opponent be in the Mae Young Classic? We'll find out at Survivor Series. And then Bayley's gimmick getting stale again. I don't love this. I think it's the first time we've gotten that note. But Pat McAfee wants to know, what is Bayley's reaction to Sasha, saying what she said earlier, and it's at 67, and Bayley says she doesn't care what Sasha thinks. She's the champion, and actually she's not going to stay near because she's going to take a vacation. She's not like all these other idiots, she calls them, and says that, she has no reason to wrestle in this tournament. She's the champion. Everyone should be coming for her. She has no one can beat her, and so she doesn't really care. She sees no one in the Mae Young Classic that can beat her, so she's going to take a vacation, a well-earned one, as the champion. So Bayley kind of playing up her heel tendencies here, but clearly we need to maybe do something with her gimmick a little bit. And then, more bad, like we're just not doing well on promos on this one. I will admit, the first time around I did this, the first recording, did great. All these promos were excellent, and the show actually did a fantastic rating. But clearly, on the second go-around, I'm not going to get that here. So that first lost recording really could have been a lot better for this particular show. But it is Big E and Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods. They're not at the arena, but Big E promises that he's going to get his revenge because he's accepting Omos's challenge. He's going to get the revenge for Kofi, for Xavier, all of that. And he says that, he's going to give Omos what he's got coming to him. And so our match is set, Big E versus Omos at Survivor Series. A big match, and we'll see what we get from a rating standpoint. I'm not sure. As we always know, with Omos matches, you just don't know what you're going to get, but we'll see. So Big E accepts the challenge, and there's another match added to the Survivor Series card. And then the Lucha Brothers, as I mentioned, were going to be in action. They are here, and they get the win over Tozawa and Mansoor, 633-68. Not bad, actually better than I would have thought, because these two are not very over. But again, slow burn with the Lucha Brothers and the Mysterios, so we'll get more into that as we kind of get down the road here with some of these. But we know the match is set, Penta versus Rey at Survivor Series. So, just keeping these guys in action, that was kind of the goal here, and nothing more than that. We'll have a segment, a big go-home segment for the Penta Rey match next week on Raw. And then, here comes Kevin Owens. As you remember, on our last episode of Raw, we had our best match in our series. Owens beat Chad Gable, 87 match. That was better than our Roman Reigns, Damian Priest. I think that was an 84. So our best match in the series to date, and so Owens is ready for another match, and this time he's going to get a challenger, and look, it is Shelton Benjamin. So Benjamin comes out, and he says even though Chad Gable, his partner, couldn't get the job done last week, Benjamin says he's going to be able to do it this week. So he's accepting the challenge, and 69, nice segment here. Shelton underperforms again on the last time we did this. I think this got the mid-70s, so once again, man, if anyone could find that first recording, that would be great, but I don't think it exists. But yeah, so Benjamin accepts the challenge, and he starts making his way down to the ring. Owens is ready. Let's start this thing. But before he can get there, here comes Chad Gable, and Chad Gable attacks his own partner from behind, and Kevin Owens is just surprised. He's wondering, what is going on here? Why is Gable attacking Benjamin? And so Gable attacks Benjamin, leaves him down and out, gets a 66. Owens trying to figure out what's going on, and then he finds out because Chad Gable says that he had Kevin Owens beat in that match, and he wants one more shot at the United States title. And Kevin Owens grabs the mic and says, hey, if you will take out your own partner to get another shot at me, I'll beat you again. And he says, I would do the same thing. So let's go. Owens tells Gable to meet him at Survivor Series. So it's set. Chad Gable versus Kevin Owens, a rematch at Survivor Series. Now you know exactly what I'm going to say here. This was not the original plan, but I decided to push off what I was going to do with Owens, and we'll get back to that at a later point. I think this is one where I had already kind of had an idea in mind involving these two. And now that I saw what happened with the match that kind of felt like a throwaway match, I decided to just go ahead and go with this. And I think sometimes, my booking is very long-term, but this is one where I just decided to change it all and say, all right, look, we need to capitalize on the momentum of this great match. I don't think they're going to have an 87 again, but that possibility is there, and I think there's a lot we can do with this. So we're going to redo it again, and we're going to have this match again at Survivor Series, and I think the story's, I don't want to say it's going to be just as compelling, I think, is what I had planned for Owens. So I hope it is, but we'll see. Maybe it's just going to be a big flop, and we can move on and do something else, but I did decide to change my plans on this based on that great match. So we'll talk about that more moving forward. 73, good segment here. And then it is Steve Austin backstage. Austin's on the phone with Mick Foley, and Austin says that he's already announced the 8-woman tag, and he tells Foley, yes, Mick, I will do the favor you asked for last week. Remember, they were talking about something. We didn't know what. Mick asked for a favor. Before Austin could reply, Bayley came in and interrupted him, and we never got back to that. But now we're getting back to it. So what is this big favor that Mick Foley wants from Steve Austin? Perhaps we'll find out soon enough. But he gets an 87, and that's going to lead us into our main event, which is a 78. Here's another one I will tell you. This match did much better on the first recording. It eclipsed a really nice little mark. It wasn't as good as Owens and Gable, but it did really well on the first recording. So we get the lesser of the two here, 78. But it is Rated RKO getting the win. Remember, the first time around, Cesaro and Sheamus got the win. Cesaro with the sharpshooter on Edge. That was a big point of discussion there coming out of it. But it's actually Rated RKO getting the win here. And because Edge gets the spear on Sheamus after interference from Finn Balor. So we thought the Bullet Club had left. Turns out they did not. At least Balor did not, right? Because he makes the interference. That allows the win. So after that, these two are getting the win, and then they look into the crowd. Balor makes his way back into the crowd, and here is Styles and Cole. They're all three standing in the crowd, and that gives Edge and Orton, they're kind of in the ring. They start walking down the aisle. They give a little nod to them. So are these five on the same page here with a little help? I mean, they didn't even ask for the help, right? But yet, Bullet Club, Finn Balor interferes. So they help these guys out a little bit. So maybe a little common respect there, perhaps. Now we're starting to see that grow between these five. And so it gets an 88. Good stuff there. However, as we think that, here come Daniel Bryan and the Street Profits in the crowd. They attack AJ Styles, Adam Cole, and Finn Balor from behind. Meanwhile, Edge and Orton, who have already made their way down the aisle up the stage, they just kind of stare at all this as it's going on, as these six brawl. Edge and Orton kind of look at each other, unsure what to do, and that's when we go off the air. So there's another kind of a point there. Where Edge and Orton just like, should we really do anything about this, or should we just kind of stand our ground up here? So that's kind of where things stand with this group. 85, great segment. I know we had some underwhelming stuff here, but that's okay. 85 overall, so a great finish to the show. And overall, show gets an 81 on the last one. Last recording, I got an 84. So that's all right. We'll take an 81 here. But yes, I'm just frustrated because it was a 30-minute episode I recorded, and man, you can hear like my voice has even kind of gone down. I'm like recorded for like an hour straight now, and so that's just kind of, it is what it is. But 81, still not a bad show, and we further everything we want to further here. Our main event stuff delivers, and that's what we really want. But some of our undercard stuff has too. So we got a lot of things in play. Survivor Series, a packed card, and let's see what we need to get to before we wrap up this episode. All right, so Raw, we excellent. We strike gold there with that one. Not really anything of note here. AEW extension looks like Rebel is going to be offered an extension. All right, that's worth noting. Let's see. We look in our mail. Taichi is on my short list. He has extended with New Japan. No surprise. Jamie Noble thinks Toni Storm's going to be a star. That's good to know because clearly we've started pushing her. So, good to know there from Jamie. I'm already looking down here and I see something right here. I'm like, oh my gosh, Triple H, is he doing it again? All right, drug test fees, Raw, 3.96. Triple H. Come on, man. Oh, goodness gracious. No momentum. You need to book me stronger for a while or I'll be dead in the water. Come on, Triple H, man. All right, once again, for anyone who's not been following this, let's just quickly point out. Triple H is currently the owner, booker, and basically main star in NXT because he came out of retirement, whenever that was. And if we look at his match history, we've done this before, but let's just point something out. Triple H is 14-0-0 in NXT. He has won every match he's been in. He has just destroyed everyone in his path. So, Triple H wants to be booked better. Clearly wants to be booked better on the main roster. I know what he's saying, but sorry, man. You're taking down NXT right now. I got no plans for you. I apologize, Triple H. I think you're great, but it's you. It's not me. So there you go. Triple H is upset. I don't care. Anyways, there you go. That was Raw. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. As I said, I know this video was kind of quick, but I did record another one right before this, and when I hit the stop on the record button, I just could not find the file. That's the first time that's actually ever happened in this series. So hopefully that's the only time because it's frustrating having to re-record, but that's why I do the backup save right before I do any show, just in case that happens. So, so that's that there. And as I mentioned, I will try to be a little bit better, kind of bulk recording these moving forward. That way, with my work schedule and everything, if I can go ahead and record some of these in advance, I can schedule them out a little bit more so there's not those gaps that we've had here recently. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there. Again, it is what it is. It happens sometimes, and hopefully a better recording schedule here. I can record these kind of all 2 or 3 at a time at the same time. That way I can schedule them out for a little bit to make it a little bit better so there's not those gaps and you guys have regular stuff coming out on this series. So again, appreciate you guys, all the feedback, all that stuff. For all the new people who have joined in, you'll get to this one eventually, but as I said, that's what's kind of cool about this series is I see new people commenting on like the first 5 episodes all the time, and that's pretty cool. So long way to go, but we've had a long road in this this series thus far, and we'll continue the march towards Survivor Series. Got a little bit of momentum now. We'll get into that here as we move forward. But on the next episode, it will be SmackDown for Week 3 in November.